Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
See what I forgot to do there? How about that cigar?
Well, how about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 302
Deuce
of How About That Cigar. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on
Rumble.
And if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, guys, thanks so much for making How About That Cigar a part of your regular audio podcast rotation.
And smash all the buttons.
All of the buttons.
All of them. Just
all of the
smash
big,
them.
beautiful buttons. The like button, the follow button, the subscribe button, whatever it is you do so you don't
Smash.
miss anything
Smash.
going on with How About That Cigar Live. That way, you'll be first in the know.
So, speaking about smashing, let's talk about football. Let's talk about how the Vikings got smashed. Let's talk about how my Jets got smashed. Let's talk about how your Packers just went bleh.
So the Vikings played in Dublin.
Yeah. And they look like dog shit.
And against the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. The Vikings didn't look so good.
No.
And the Jets are losing to the Dolphins as we speak.
Yeah, they're losing. It's a done deal. It's how the fuck do you lose to the Dolphins?
And somebody tell me how. Well, no, I know how, but
how you tie a game at 40-40?
How do you tie against the Cowboys 40-40? That was just ugly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really glad that our offense was able to put up 40 points, but I'm really not super thrilled about the fact that our defense gave up
40 points.
40 points. And there were some. I mean, we had another block kick it was an extra point, and it got returned for 2 by Dallas, but at least it wasn't a blocked field goal. Right. But we have to fix the special teams to keep guys coming around the edge and blocking kicks.
I don't think Micah was very impressive.
Got to stop turning the ball over. Micah was okay.
I mean, going against your old team that just traded you like 2 days ago, I would have came out with a little more.
I think the whole defense just kind of was flat, and I think I think they needed to be a little more aggressive. I didn't watch the game; I was at a concert, but I watching the highlights, especially overtime. And yes, in one very small aspect, I agree with Coop on this. The play calling needed to be more aggressive in overtime, but what are you going to do?
What?
MLB playoffs. The Yankees versus
Boston. Fucking
Boston. I mean, I'm sorry, but how classic can it be? You can't get more classic than that.
The problem is they've owned us this year.
Yeah, but you never know. It's the playoffs,
At least they're not the Mets.
So, the Mets. I'm sorry, Hector Alfonso Sr. I'm sorry. The way your Mets imploded, and
I'm not, because I just want me another box of cigars.
You want a box of cigars, I know, but the way the Mets imploded like that's got to be one of the all-time.
They were like 50-10 at one point.
Yeah, that's one of the all-time crumple zone disasters for a sports team. So there you go.
It was almost as bad as when the Vikings lost to the Giants 40-0 in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, that was a long time ago.
It still hurts.
And another thing, there was weird stuff going on in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of shitty teams won.
The Falcons won.
Yeah.
The Giants won. It just, I don't know. Doesn't
crazy.
It was a weird day in the NFL, but
the Chiefs whooped Baltimore. They whooped them like they stole something.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's sometimes that just happens.
It just bees like that. It just bees like
in the world of sports. It's what they say. Any given Sunday.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday. Right, sorry. Choked on my own spit. All right, there we go. Let's get into this week's
Spirit of Mystery.
Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by our friends at Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list, but found their way onto other lists? Well, fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
It is my opinion, man. And this is this week's Spirit of Mystery. And
can you sniff and tell me what you think it is? I mean, what is it? A bourbon, a rye, a rum, tequila?
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a rye.
You're right.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I got one part right.
Yeah.
It smells like a rye. It smells spicy. It's got, a little viscosity kicking in there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give it a taste. All right, that wasn't much. More.
So
I like that.
you've had it. You've had it.
It finishes. It starts spicy, but it finishes kind of sweet. Oh, and now there's a little bit like post finish, if that's a word. I don't know.
Yeah.
Spice coming back.
Hit the cigar. Let's see how it goes with the cigar.
So, oh yeah. Here we go.
We're total tasting.
We're professionals. Don't try this though. That I dig a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's some similar characteristics in the cigar, a little bit of spice, a little bit of sweet, but the cigar actually smooths it out.
I'm getting good at this.
I love that. That's a good combination right there.
Good at pairing. Somebody even might offer me a job doing pairing or something.
What do you know? What do you know about that? But I am done waiting because this wonderful cigar that I just took a puff of and pairs so nicely with this whiskey. We have the brand owner on the show tonight.
We do.
And I cannot wait to get him on. And as always, on How About That Cigar Live, special guests are brought to us by our friends at Drew Estate. And Drew Estate unveiled the latest chapter, the Nica Rustica Shade. Shade is the third Nica Rustica expression, joining the original broadleaf and Adobe. Nica Rustica Shade spotlights an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Mexican binder leaf, and balanced blend of Nicaraguan, American, and Dominican fillers. Available in a 4.5 by 50 short Robusto, 6 by 50 Toro, and 5 by 66 Gordo. The Nica Rustica Shade is available now. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to episode 302 of How About That Cigar Live from Stoic Cigars. Vance Taylor, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, guys. Wow, 302.
302.
I remember when you guys were just getting this thing started.
Man, it honestly, there are some parts of me that feels like it was yesterday, and other parts of me that feels like it was, in the Jurassic period.
Yeah.
Mostly just my hips that feel like the Jurassic period, but
was that a little rough?
But 300 is a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
And 302 is more than 300.
That's true. 2 more, in fact.
You know math. Good job, buddy. Nice. I love it. Oh, so Vance, thanks so much for being on the show, brother. If you would please tell our viewers and listeners where you're broadcasting from and what you're smoking and drinking with us this evening.
Yeah, so I am home. I'm in my home office / cigar lounge in the great state of Utah. I got home yesterday late afternoon from your neck of the woods. I was out in Minneapolis at the Ramsey Smoke Shop doing an event on Saturday, and just got home. So happy to be back in the home office. I built a freestanding office / cigar lounge, so it's a well ventilated, cigar friendly building just next to my house on a little cul-de-sac with a bunch of Mormon neighbors. So we're just doing our thing here in Happy Valley, as they call it.
Love it.
So first of all, before we get into your whole origin story and everything like that, how'd you like our great state of Minnesota?
I love Minnesota. I've always said Minnesota reminds me a lot of Utah because of the climate, more humid, but similar season shifts, and just breathtaking scenery. So I like driving through the state. This is the second time I've really driven across state, not just flown in and out. So that was cool because I came from Wisconsin into Minneapolis. Yeah, I loved it.
Nice.
That was a nice little trip. You almost cross country of the Midwest.
Yeah, I'm going to be making that run a lot. I have a feeling because I ended up doing pretty well between Minneapolis and Youngstown, Ohio, in terms of good, strong new accounts that support boutique, accounts that do events. And in fact, when I was packing up my orders from PCA this year, I saw on the map, I'm like, man, these guys are sort of all in a line there. And so I hand delivered Omar's order. I flew into Minneapolis and delivered his order and then 7 others on my way, worked my way east, so went the opposite way on that trip, and flew home out of Cincinnati. So yeah, it's a great part of the country. People are great, salt of the earth, upper Midwest folk, good accents. I like the Minnesota accent.
Yeah, it's unmistakable. And it's gotten a lot. I mean, ever since the movie Fargo, which was a long time ago, but there's, then they had the TV show Fargo and, lots of other shows kind of throwing. Well, they overdo it. But that's true with any accent in movies, I think.
Boston might be the worst, right? Boston, New York are the worst.
Yeah, if they're doing a movie set in Boston, everybody's like, pack the car. And if they're doing it set in Brooklyn or something, they're like, how you doing? Hey, yo, they overdo it.
That's actually true.
Yeah, that's not far off.
I'm getting over this freaking cough. It's just lingering, but
I got a little bit of that going too. And I think it's because we've had the roller coaster of it gets cold, but we get this late summer thing where the temperatures drop, but the humidity stays high.
Yeah, exactly.
It messes with your, sinuses and everything. But Vance, one of the things that we love learning from everybody, and we especially appreciate having small brands on the show.
We never found out what he's drinking and smoking.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
I thought we did.
I don't.
No. We got straight into state geology or geography rather, and
right on.
And accents.
So Vance, what are you smoking and drinking tonight?
So I'm just finishing. I'm actually about to light up the same blend you gentlemen are smoking, but I had to finish this because it's so good. I'm smoking the original blend, Stoic Wisdom, which is our Churchill. And then I'm drinking this tangerine lemongrass sparkling water. I'm a big sparkling water guy, but I like this one, especially with both blends, because I'm using a citrusy, acidic Lajero in my filler in both these blends, and it just really complements it beautifully. And I just like that clean, bright feeling on my tongue.
Nice. What do you got there, Raul?
I'm drinking a hop water mango.
That's so weird. I'm drinking Lift Bridge Mango Blonde.
Huh?
And the Spirit of Mystery, of course.
Yeah, we're all on the same page there.
And Raleigh, what are you smoking while we're at it? I mean, we'll name it now and talk about it more later. But
I'm smoking this cigar right here. It is his new cigar, and I'm not going to butcher the name. I've been butchering it all weekend.
We'll get it up to the camera. Let's get a look at that. There we go.
And this is the Toro size. I've pounded a bunch of the Coronas already.
Equanimity.
And
very good.
Yeah,
Equanimity. And I am smoking the Corona.
Same thing, right? Equanimity.
Is this the same thing?
No, that's the original blend.
No, that's the original
blend.
Yeah.
I fucked that up. I was supposed to bring you.
No, because hey, Corona.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corona Gorda all day.
So Vance was nice enough to give us 6 Coronas, 2 for you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. For
when Raul says he fucked that up, he means he pocketed 6 Toros.
Well, can I finish? Can I finish?
I know what happened. He's like, we really need 6 of these.
And then we had 2 for Justin, who's not feeling good today. But I know my boy here is a big Corona fan like myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, would you want 2 Toros or would you like a Toro and a Corona?
Mm-hmm.
So we traded.
So
yeah,
just to be transparent.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Well done.
but we got to talk about some stuff later on. But
Yeah.
so let's get into something.
Well,
Origin stories.
we love having new, smaller brands on the show, because we just love giving a platform to, people trying to, that are out there putting in the work, trying to get a new brand off the ground, because I think it's good for the industry. And part of the thing that we love learning about from our guests is, how the fire got started for you in cigars. So if you can remember that story of your first cigar, if you happen to remember what it was, what the occasion was, and kind of how that led to, becoming a regular cigar, a regular part of the cigar community.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think my story is different for sure and unique, mainly because of my upbringing. I grew up in a Mormon household in Utah, and so I was never exposed to any sort of really vice. No cigars, obviously, but nothing. No smoke of any kind. No alcohol. No coffee. When I was a kid, the Mormon faith was still pretty anti-caffeine in general, so not even caffeinated soda, like none of it. Now they're all hopped up on Dr. Pepper here, but yeah. So and energy drinks. But so when I got older and I got out in the world, I found myself craving cigars, which was interesting because I'd never smoked anything. Like I didn't have a nicotine affinity. I didn't have exposure to any tobacco products of any kind. I had never had. But when I would see cigars in, especially hotels, when I would travel for business, they used to have the nice humidors at the check-in counter at a lot of nicer hotels back in the day in the lobby. I would have almost like a physiological response. Just I would get the salivary glands going, and I just was so curious about them. And so, and I had long since left the Mormon faith in my early 20s. And then I finally bit the bullet and asked a buddy of mine when my ex-wife and I found out we were pregnant with our first daughter, our first child. I asked a buddy of mine who had a lot of experience smoking things to get us a couple cigars so I could try one and we could celebrate. And so, yeah, he sourced a couple cigars from the local shop in Salt Lake City. They were acid Cuba Cubas. And we got together and smoked them in the frigid February weather, standing around in a parking lot at night after going to a movie. And I ended up just being completely in love with it. The whole experience, cutting it, lighting it. In fact, there were three of us, and we were passing the cigar around. Everyone was shivering and huddling. And after a few passes, they started skipping. I smoked the whole thing. I took the other one home. I smoked it the next day. And then I tend to geek out on things when I find something I'm really curious about. Same thing that happened to me with Stoicism, which I'm sure we'll get into. And so I spent, the next couple of years getting really, really active online, doing research, buying books. I've got a bunch of books on tobacco and cigars back there on the shelf. And I just really fell in love with the product and the process of becoming a cigar guy. And then through the online social clubs and eventually starting one of my own in 2015, I managed to get access to the IPCPR that year in 2015 by offering to work for free for a vendor that was looking for local help in New Orleans. Obviously, I wasn't local, but I just flew there with Sky Miles and my girlfriend and I, now wife. And then that's when I really fell in love and caught fire, to your point, on the industry side, and just the people. The business of cigars, not always, in fact, not glamorous. I would say, full stop, not glamorous, but very old world and intimate and charming. And I just knew then that this was something we were going to eventually do. So we've been talking about it really for 10 years.
Okay.
My now wife and I, whenever the question gets asked, which happens all the time in those lame corporate leadership trainings and all that kind of BS, if money wasn't an object, what would you spend your time doing? Yeah. My answer was always building a cigar business. And so, we had an opportunity last year to have a conversation with my then employer and board about what a exit package might look like, as they were getting ready to recapitalize that business, and they were very generous with me. They attributed a lot of their growth over the 4 years to my role there as chief growth officer, and you don't always get that from a private equity backed business, that type of generosity, and so I looked at it as a maybe once in a lifetime opportunity. And so I asked the wife, like, what do you think? And we both agreed that if we couldn't do it now with this sort of artificial runway that had been gifted to us, then we were never really going to do it, and we should just stop talking about it. So we put our money where our mouth was, and I burned the boats, took the package, and I'm doing this full time now, and it's been great.
That's awesome. You got something, Raleigh? You next, or am I up?
Either or. I got tons of questions, but you go ahead.
Well, and I'm curious, just and if if you're comfortable being specific about it, great. If not, that's fine too. I'm just curious what kind of business you were in when in the private sector with the company you were with.
Yeah, I my whole career I was in health tech, mainly on the dental side.
Okay.
So oral health and the various oral health delivery models. And I worked for companies that provided technology solutions, initially on-prem enterprise class software systems, and then later as the world transitioned to cloud and SaaS, SaaS businesses. The last company I with specializes in a SaaS dental billing platform. And so I led a rebrand and a new go-to-market strategy and product launch of that platform, and grew our user base and our average recurring revenue per account and some of those key metrics over a 4-year period, and we did really well there. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So what was your online group that you started?
Yeah, it's called Cigar Syndicate. It's intentionally small and intimate. Lots of guys in the Minnesota group are in it, and it's an invitation only group. So you've got to go through the initiation. You got to read the Constitution I wrote way back in the day. So we've got a full Constitution, and then you've got to fill out an online form to get in, and that way we have all your contact details, and it's a very intimate, close-knit group.
Cool.
#SinFam. I put that up there.
Nice. Yeah. I'm waiting for my invitation.
Are you?
From one of you motherfuckers.
Well, keep waiting. No, I'm just.
It's very, very exclusive.
It is very. Yeah, they let me in, so can't be that exclusive.
Well, seems that never mind. My next question is, let's talk about Stoicism and where you. I know I'm jumping way ahead.
No, jump where
you got the name. Where you got the name of the cigar from, and the background of that all, and then we'll go down that rabbit hole, because I want to ask questions.
Yeah, Stoicism for me. So it's a philosophy. So at its core, Stoicism is an ancient philosophy. It dates back to, the Marcus Aurelius era, and it was a shift in the sort of modern philosophies of the time, like Cynicism and Epicureanism. It focused really on where those were like polar opposites. Stoicism was a variation of Cynicism, where essentially they said, virtue is not necessarily in self-deprivation, which a lot of people get wrong. Actually, a lot of people have told me that it's ironic to have a brand called Stoic for a cigar when they think that Stoicism is all about self-deprivation, which it's not at all. Rather, Stoicism is about finding the mental fortitude to accept the things that are outside of your control and to live in harmony with nature. They use the word nature a lot, but it doesn't mean like trees and the woods,
the birds and the bees. Yeah,
it refers to the universe, the forces of nature acting upon you that are outside of your control. And it's really fascinating. And I stumbled upon it on accident. I told you I'm a bit of a nerd, and I'm an avid reader. And in my professional life, I was constantly reading at least a couple of books at any given time. And I was looking for just the next book on leadership on Audible. And it was recommended through the algorithm there, a book called How to Think Like a Roman Emperor by Donald Robertson. And it's a really great book. It talks about Marcus Aurelius' story. So it's the Roman emperor in the title is Marcus Aurelius. And it's a little bit of history, like how he came to be emperor, and also the role that Stoicism played in his formative years and led him and guided him as a leader, arguably the greatest leader in Roman history. And I was just fascinated by Stoicism as a result of that book. And so, as I am wont to do, I went down that rabbit hole and got really into what Stoicism is and what it means. And the more that I studied and researched, the more I saw this correlation between what the Stoics are trying to achieve and accomplish through their practice and what cigar smokers are oftentimes doing by taking the time to cut and light and enjoy a cigar, in terms of just that forcing function for slowing down and finding like some peace, working through the things in your head, maybe driving conversations and dialogue in a meaningful way. I had a customer recently tell me that cigars serve a real urgent purpose for men specifically compared to women. Not that cigars are exclusively for men, but in this context, because you get 4 or 5 guys in a room with the purpose of opening up and having a dialogue. I think it'd be really awkward and uncomfortable. But you get 4 or 5 women in a room that don't know each other, and they'll be best friends in an hour. They don't need any sort of catalyst. They don't need anything to get that going. It seems like it's just a natural for them. But for guys, the minute you start cutting up and lighting cigars, there are no strangers. There are no social classes. There are no arbitrary or artificial barriers.
Yeah.
And so I've always found that fascinating. And anyway, so my back to the origin story of the name, I just saw this like really interesting correlation between these two groups. And it is a trending movement in the US. So especially for men, but also for women. And it's a similar demographic. Like the people that are finding and discovering and moving towards this Stoic thought and Stoic practice are similar in age, socioeconomic status, location, as guys that are smoking cigars. And so I thought, man, we really have an opportunity here to maybe cross-pollinate these two groups and create some interesting synergies. Maybe we get some of these Stoic dorks to add cigars to their practice, use it as a tool or an instrument in that practice, because it can be a forcing function. And I'll walk you through sort of my routine and how I'm practicing what I preach in a way. But also for cigar smokers who maybe they've become accustomed to smoking as part of their routine, but they're not necessarily intentionally thinking about how they use that time as they're smoking. And if they're taking the time anyway, and I always like to just think through the math, because I find it fascinating. Like if you, Matt, were to take a dart throw at how many hours you will spend smoking a cigar in a year, and then if you were to take 25% of those hours and say, I'm going to allocate 25% of my smoking time to personal development, whatever that means for you, leveling up, learn a new skill, study something, meditate, whatever, pray, it could be a religious thing. It can be a personal development thing. What sort of impact would that have on you? How many hours would it be? And then what is the compounded interest on those hours over the course of a year? And who do you look like next year as a result? I find that very fascinating.
Yeah.
So I think a lot about it, and I thought there's an opportunity here. So the brand to me was a no-brainer. I was like, it was one of those lightning in a bottle moments for me. As soon as it dawned on me, I was like, this is it. I'm doing it someday. I already started sketching out the design and the logos long before we had the opportunity to actually do the business.
Nice.
So when we first met on Friday, and I asked you pretty much the same question, how'd you come up with the name? And you started explaining it to me, and pretty much just what you said now. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what book should I start with? I went on my audio books, and I'm like, pulled up like 10 different ones, and he told me which one to go. I'm about 5 chapters in. I'm not real fast, but it's amazing, some of the similarities like you were talking about. And because we've always said, once we light a cigar up, everything's out the window, the walls fall down, and we can work on each other and ourselves and our mental health.
Yeah.
Right. So everything he said, it just fucking clicked. So I started that book and probably finish it before Thursday, Friday, and start another one. I like it. I like it a lot. And thank you for opening my mind up to that.
Well, and Vance, 100%. I agree with you, and even echoing some of the stuff that Raleigh just mentioned, is it really, there are certain there are so many different philosophies of thought about how us as people can get the most out of our lives, and have the best possible outcome for each situation in our lives, and so on and so forth. And I know we're not saying cigars have this magical power that's going to bring that about, but cigars do. You're totally right, Vance, when you said that there is something that, whether it's metaphysical or whether it's just logical, where cigars and stoicism, the movement of stoicism, or the philosophy of stoicism, really are kind of made for each other.
Yeah.
And I really like that, what you said about, take 25% of, your smoking time. And, somebody, like us maybe, and a lot of the cigar nerds out there that love cigar podcasts like this as much as we do, that we're smoking more than, the average cigar buyer out there, which is great. So let's say, even somebody who's big with, smoking a lot of cigars, let's say somebody's smoking 4 cigars every day, and let's say they're Robustos, and a Robusto takes you an hour to smoke, and 25% of your smoking time, it's an hour every single day just for 1 year. Not even for the rest, don't go into this saying, oh, I'm definitely going to commit to this for the rest of my life. Just say a year, going to commit to this, and use that 1 cigar a day to commit to just learning more about the world around me, learning more about myself, the way I interact with the world, the way I react to things that happen to me, the way I react to things that happen around me, so on and so forth. Holy cow, we'd all be so much better off. Just immeasurably better off.
Yeah, and then 100%. And then I think for one of the challenges. So I think I'm a great example for the difficulties that you can run into on the other side of the scenario, which is the guys that are already into stoicism. They're doing this practice, but they're maybe looking for something to help them lock it into routine and habit. And so for me personally, I've always struggled with meditation, and it's hard for me because every book you ever read about any great leaders do X, like all great leaders do whatever. One thing always at the top of every one of those lists is meditate. And they all talk about how it changed their life. And I would try and try. I've gone through so many start and stops, worse than dieting, worse than working out in terms of consistency. Meditating is really hard for me. I just have so much going on in my head all the time. I'm always thinking about the next innovation, the next idea, and not even for my business, just in general, like ideas for my family, ideas for myself. And I have a really hard time clearing my mind. And what I found, and what I've started doing myself personally since launching the cigar company is every day. I did it on the road. I've done this, I've been doing it for a year now. I smoke the Robusto because it's 60 minutes. And at home, it's 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. because when I have my kids, the week I have my kids, I take them to school. I'm home right at 8, a little before 8. So I get my coffee and I light that cigar. I have no electronics anywhere near me. I take my watch off, I put it on the charger. I put my phone on my desk with my computer, and I sit over here in one of my lounge chairs. And I've got my journal. I just, sometimes I'll just do a little like gratitude journaling. Sometimes I'll do a little bit more news and notes or planning. I'm always reading something, so I'll spend some of that 60 minutes reading something. Right now, I'm reading Meditations again for the third time. It's just great, easy little nuggets of words to live by. That's Marcus Aurelius, and it was really his journal that was never meant to be a book that was found and turned into a great resource. And then And that's 60 minutes, and it's every day. Like this morning, as an example, I was a little wiped from all the travel and the trip and the road time, and it all sort of caught up to me. So I didn't set an alarm because my kids are here, but they were off school today. It was like a teacher prep day or whatever. So I didn't set an alarm. I didn't wake up till 9, and then a bunch of stuff. Well, I woke up a little before, but I didn't get down here till 9. And it was a beautiful, beautiful morning, and the sun was up over Temp. My house faces east, the Wasatch Mountain Range, and above me, we put a roof over the deck on top. So we made it a deck up top. So there's stairs on the back wall and you can go up. And so I went up there with my stuff and I smoked that cigar, watching the sun, feeling it on my face. The fall mountains, the mountains are now the most vibrant they're going to be all year. This is like the peak for autumn in Utah. In fact, I took the kids and drove the Alpine Loop today so we could look at the fall colors. But yeah, it's the best hour. And I'm telling you, the impact on a day in terms of productivity after you take that minute, that hour in this case, to really like get yourself right versus just diving in head first into the shitstorm. It's amazing. I mean, it really is incredible, the impact it can have. So I'm trying to, practice my own, take my own medicine. And it's been meaningful. It's been really impactful. It's helped with this business. It's helped me sort out all sorts of there's a million breakpoints in the cigar supply chain. Like it's wildly inefficient and unorganized and non-technical, especially coming from a tech background. It can drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Those moments have paid dividends just in like working through, being able to partition out the things I can't control and then acting on the things that I can and only the things that I can, not wasting any energy on the stuff that I can't. Man, what an advantage. So if you're, if you consider that, in some ways we're all out there head to head trying to win at life, not that we're in competition with one another, but the advantage that you'll have and whatever it is that you're pursuing by spending that time to maximize yourself. Yeah. And I consider it like a maximizing hour for sure.
Right.
It's huge. And if you do it every day and then you do it for years, I mean, I don't know. It can't be nothing. Like it's better than zero impact, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, the worth of, because and it's been growing and, every generation goes through it because distractions are different for every generation and they have been for basically forever. Distractions evolve just like, so many things in the world have evolved. Distractions have evolved as well.
Yeah.
And, now and for the last, 20 years, if not more, the distraction is screens. And I'm guilty of it. I struggle with it. My kids struggle with it. And I'm kicking myself for not remembering who said this, but I watch a lot of interviews with people who are known as, I guess, I don't know, for lack of a better term, thinkers. Yeah. Whether it's psychologists or they could be somebody who's just good at explaining their viewpoint on the world. It could be somebody in religion. It could be somebody in, who's more atheistic and, from a scientific perspective. It could be somebody who's a psychologist or a philosopher or whatever it may be. And I love to either read books written by or watch interviews with people like this. And one of them said something along the lines of nothing wonderful or meaningful will ever happen to you while you're watching a screen. And of course that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I've started just trying as hard as I can to express and explain that to my children. That especially my youngest, because he's 16 and he, he's at that age where it's like, okay, you've got this kind of crossroads, before you right now, and nothing is, there's nothing of meaning or consequence or relevance or something that's going to alter the way you see the world, or bring about real change in your own little corner of the world, while you're sitting there scrolling,
Now, how are you reconciling the fact that you got that?
The fact that I got that
from a screen.
from a screen. Yeah. And I even mentioned that to Eli, my son. And I said, ironically, yes, I heard this soundbite when I was watching a screen. But what it caused me to do was to kind of dive in a little bit more and grab some books about just making more of my own time.
Yeah. But I think that's such a great example because, and this goes back to like the difference between stoicism and cynicism. It's not a cut out life's pleasures, not at all. In fact, the size that Raul there loves, the Corona Gorda, the name of the virtue is moderation. You can see on my shirt here that all of my core blends come in these 4 sizes. They all have their own icons, and they're named for the virtues of stoicism. So wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. And moderation does not mean to deprive yourself of life's pleasures. What it's talking about is, everything in life, whether it's good for you or bad for you, comes down to dosage. Water can be bad for you if you drink too much of it, right? And so moderation simply means if you want the pleasures in life to remain pleasurable, then you must enjoy them in the proper dosage. Otherwise, they go past the point of enjoyable and into the realm of abuse or addiction, or they rob you of the joy in life that you could get elsewhere. And that's not just pleasures, by the way. That can be, we all know workaholics. We know gym bros that, they spend too much time in the pursuit of like physical perfection at the expense of other things that could bring them joy and happiness. So again, it's not like moderation doesn't only refer to vices. It's really talking about balance and what I call dosage. And by the way, this holds very, very true to nicotine in its proper dosage and through the appropriate consumption modality. Nicotine is a nutrient. It's a nootropic. Yeah. It's one of the best things for your mind. It triggers the release of both dopamine and serotonin. So it can be either an upper or a downer, depending on what you're doing. And so, like, again, for me, and that's the beauty of, so it has a lot to do with how I blend, because I'm very cognizant of strength for that reason, and nicotine content in my cigars, because you want, and then that combined with the fact that it's buccal absorption through your mouth and not directly into the bloodstream through the lungs, you get this slow, steady drip. Your mind is able to use that nicotine appropriately. And if you've overconsumed, because you'll feel it. And anyone who's ever had the nicotine sweats or the spins or whatever, they know what that feels like. So yeah, I'm a big believer in this. Back to your story, you were, the appropriate screen consumption and the appropriate dosage at the appropriate times can be a very uplifting thing, depending on what you're doing it for and when you're doing it. I got, one of my life-changing tidbits from a very similar, I follow a lot of thought leaders too. The algorithm knows what I like. And I had one of those guys make the comment that the magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding. And it's written on a postcard and taped right here to my monitor. And I read it every day that I want to because it's really hard when you own a business, as because you get a comment or a share or a tag on social media. And you're like, oh, I better go get on that. And then an hour later, you've been screwing around on social media and you've lost that productivity time block that you have on your calendar to get real important shit done. And so that's just a constant reminder to me that there's magic out there, and it's hiding in the work you're avoiding. So, yeah, same idea.
I love that part of it.
Why do you think stoicism faded away for a while? It seems to be making
great question.
A comeback now, but why didn't we keep it going since it first showed up with Marcus?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that whole area sort of fell into disrepair, and the places where they would teach. Stoicism is really interesting because actually the name itself comes from the fact that they would hold open debate and dialogue in the Agora, which was the public marketplace in Rome, on the Stoa Poikile, which means painted porch. Stoa means porch. And it was like a street philosophy. It was a philosophy for the people. Up until then, all philosophy was reserved for the elites and the academics, and it was in the places of higher learning and in the ivory towers. And so this was the first real philosophy of the people for the people, which made it really resilient. And it did, and that's, I think, a lot of why it's persisted at this time. As far as, it's a great question, and it makes me really want to go research and do some study now, because I don't know that I have a great answer. But what I can say is not necessarily why it went away, but the resurgence. And if you follow this author of that book I recommended, Donald Robertson, he's actually a cognitive behavioral therapist, and CBT is highly, highly based in Stoicism. So it's come back as our understanding of human psychology has evolved, academics and scientists and psychologists have uncovered the correlation, and then and really what they've shifted from is there's this long sort of era of Freudian philosophy that's very much about like wrap yourself up in your trauma and wear it like a personality. I think that's where we've gone really awry, whereas Stoicism says your past cannot be changed, your future cannot be set, and so all you really have is this moment and the decision you make now. Your response to the thing that happened. In fact, the story of the guy that founded Stoicism is incredible, because it started with him absolutely losing every penny to his name and looking, essentially death in the face, and ended up, instead of letting that derail his purpose, he ended on a new path that resulted in the founding of Stoicism. It's a great story. And so that's really the new shift. CBT is now focusing on, less about let's rehash all the shit that happened in your past over and over and over again ad nauseum, so that you never get over it, and it becomes embedded in your, your identity and your vision of yourself. And they've shifted more toward a much healthier, let go of the things that you can't control. Like you don't need to scream in the shower because you're remembering something that happened 18 years ago in school that you're still embarrassed about, or whatever, whatever's holding you back from, seeing your true enlightened self. So I find it really fascinating. I'm definitely going to do some research into why it went away. I would guess it had a lot to do with the shift during the Enlightenment into more modern philosophical practice that led to like Freudianism and Freudism, and some of those others. So.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Real quick question. You said something earlier where they sat in public and debated, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And from parts of the book I've gotten so far, is they actually debated. They talked about it. You didn't get mad at me for my opinion. I didn't get mad at you. I think we need to bring that back.
Yeah.
Because right now, if your opinion is not the same as mine, you hate me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring back that debate, open debate, where
Yeah.
Well, our differences,
Yeah.
Face to face. Social media, it does have some positives to it. Yeah, it does. But man, seeing somebody's face, talking to somebody's, looking somebody in the eye, makes a huge difference. It really does. And, not that I'm saying, I know that's not always possible in 2025, but it's easy to, there's too many examples these days of people seeing what are perceived and what are advertised as other people's positions or opinions or whatever, and from afar using that as a vehicle to dehumanize them, instead of just diving deeper and finding out more and asking more questions, instead of just stopping and assuming and saying, this is what you mean, and this is why you think it, and this is because you're bad, and blah, 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 blah. And it's we too often stop before we continue asking more questions to get to the heart.
Everything's a massive monolith, right? Like if you believe this one thing, then I can safely assume that you believe all these things.
And you fit into this category.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy state of sort of social mind hive that's happening.
Yeah.
Around the world, really. So Yeah, I agree with you completely. I love the idea of this like open dialogue, open debate, and it's cool because a lot of the greats obviously Marcus Aurelius was an emperor, and that's very different. But one of his, and there's no record of them actually intersecting, other than he definitely studied his works. But Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, was a slave most of his life, and when he earned his freedom, he became one of the most renowned and respected philosophers of his time.
Yeah,
thought on that same porch. Just and again, his whole story is slavery is a state of mind. And one of the things the Stoics believe that I really, really love is that, and it's true, it's 100% true, is that all suffering happens in your mind.
Yeah.
Anything that happens to you externally that's outside of your control is what it is. It's neither good nor bad. It's indifferent. And it's only your response to that thing that is good or bad. And that comes down to these 4 virtues. Are you courageous? Are you just? Are you wise? And are you living moderately? And I find it just really, really fascinating. Marcus Aurelius has this great quote where he says, and I've shared this before, but if you break your leg and then complain about your broken leg, you've suffered twice, because it's already broken. So, I think about today, like how fragile so many people around the world are. We've been so comfortable for so long. We live by far in the greatest, safest, most prosperous era of human history as a species, like hands down, not even close, by magnitudes of scale, right?
Yeah.
And yet we've got more depression, anxiety, suicide, violent aggression. Like it's just insane. Our inability to cope with the most simple and basic offense or perceived offense or whatever. So I love this idea. The Stoics would practice it. They would sit during their like sort of mindfulness time, their meditation time, and they would try to envision the worst possible thing that could happen in their life. And I mean like horrific things, loss of children, debilitating disease, and they would prepare themselves. They would deal with it in their mind preemptively, almost like working out their mental fortitude as a muscle, which I really like that concept too. And I attempt to do that as well. Because you never know when you're going to need it, being prepared and being mentally fit, so to speak, is a really interesting concept that I don't think a lot of people are even considering now.
There's a couple things I like also about Stoicism so far. One is keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, it's not hard. Exactly.
Keep it simple. Also, a lot of the ideas in Stoicism, I think the 13 steps of sobriety have taken from Stoicism.
Oh, say more about. I want to know more about that because I haven't gone through a sobriety program, but I'm curious about.
Well, just like he was saying earlier about control what you can control.
Oh yeah.
And God giving you the strength to know the difference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's part of it, and keeping simple, stupid is part of it too. It's like, hey, don't overthink anything. Let's deal with this right here, right now, and once we get past this, then we'll deal with the next one.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just making sure that you're living in this moment. You're staying sober for this minute now.
Yeah.
Before you worry about 5 minutes later and all of a sudden you got a glass in your hand 2 minutes later.
Well, and Vance, there's something interesting that, the stuff you just talked about and even what Raul just mentioned that's coming to mind is I think there's a lot of modern, especially people who deal in the world of psychology, that there are some books and philosophies coming out in their books from a couple that come to mind right now that because I've read these books and I've listened to them interviewed, and the more I think about it now, based on all the stuff we've been talking about in the last 20 minutes, is their philosophies in these newer books are steeped in stoicism, and they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like
go ahead.
One is Mel Robbins, who Mel Robbins is a psychologist and a writer, and she's got this theory that's been going all around social media. It's called the let them theory.
Yeah, great book. Yep.
And that's, as far as I can tell, now that I'm thinking about it and remembering the pieces from the book I read, it's completely wrapped in stoicism. And the same with a book by, and I'm sorry, I don't remember her last name, Dr. Allison. I'm so sorry, I don't remember her last name, but the book is called Bad Therapy. And it's basically how there are these thousands upon thousands of therapists, not just in the United States but worldwide, who are causing, especially young people and especially young women, to become mired in their circumstances. And it's called rumination.
Yep.
Where you basically sit and you stew in your pain and your depression and your sadness, and that's all you do. And there's too many therapists are causing their patients to stay stuck in that rumination.
I was thinking about that, and you know why? If they cure you, there's no more need for them, right?
Yeah.
If we stick to the Freud idea, there was two philosophers that we could have followed, right? It was Freud, and I forgot the other person.
Carl Jung.
Carl Jung.
Yeah.
If we would have followed him, he's more about the same idea where, all right, your trauma's your trauma.
Yeah.
Deal with it and get past it and live in the moment. Freud, he wants to go back. He wants to drudge it up. He wants to keep, he wants to pull that trauma back. He wants you to deal with it. And the guy said that I was watching was like, yeah, that's why we keep using Freud, is because they keep making money off of it, and it's not curable.
Sadly, I do believe that's a part of it.
They keep pulling that scab off, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's led us to this state of feelings have become facts because it's been reinforced by people in positions of authorities for years and years for some of these people, where they've basically affirmed that if you're feeling that way, that's your truth, that's your power, that's your identity. And not to discredit, certainly not to downplay anybody's trauma at all. Certainly that's very real and has impacted their lives, but it doesn't do them any good to process it. And it doesn't change the facts of their current reality. It cannot change the facts of the reality because nothing can. And so we end up with these people that are living a sort of diluted reality, and they're just not connected anymore. And they're completely missing out on the moment. And that's the real tragedy. Right. But there are a lot of modern day Stoics, to your point. Obviously Ryan Holiday's the most famous with the Object is the Way. He does the daily Stoic podcast, but Tim Ferriss is a Stoic, Joe Rogan is a Stoic, Jordan Peterson's a Stoic. Yeah. There's a lot, and everywhere I go, I seem to get introduced to another one. In fact, Sam Harris was just recommended to me in Chicago by one of the guests at an event there at Up Down Cigar, and it's just fascinating. And I think, to your point, like anybody who's been trained in modern cognitive behavioral therapy has been exposed at length to Stoicism through their formal education. So yeah, it's definitely on the rise.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I just went back and I looked. I was wrong on the name. So that book called Bad Therapy, I was right on the first letter of the first name. Dr. Abigail Schreier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I haven't heard it.
She's been on a number of shows, promoting her book. But when I got my hands on the book, it's I've even seen it in the lives of some family members and friends who, like you said, Vance, trauma. We're not saying trauma is not real, and the world of Stoicism isn't saying trauma isn't real. It's what it's saying is that if all you do is spend your time examining and remembering and basically sitting in the pool of your trauma, then you're never going to see what's actually happening around you at this given moment. And that's never going to give you the tools you need to, move into whatever the next moment holds.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a really great question to constantly check in with yourself and ask, like, how am I making the most out of this moment? Because it's all. I had an interesting experience on this last trip. I posted about this actually online after I landed, but I was descending. We were landing in Indianapolis, and during the descent, there was a storm above Indy, I guess, and the pilot had to descend really quickly to get down beneath the storm. And during that descent, because we were moving so fast, it actually at one point I wasn't sure if we were crashing or descending anymore. And we were going, and I've flown 1.5, a little over 1.5 million miles in my life. So I've had plenty of those like turbulent landings and takeoffs and whatever. This was by far the most like, I'm not sure if we're actually crashing or not. We had a couple of little bumps where we lost gravity. We had several T-bones from massive air currents where it felt like we might roll. And again, the speed of the descent was just really like what threw us off. And people all on the plane were screaming, people were vomiting. And I texted my wife and I'm like, I think we might be crashing. And of course, then she freaked out. So don't recommend the because I was very like, I was trying to keep a calm demeanor about it and just, what happens happens. But when I landed, it just made me like pause and think again, like, am I spending the moments that I have? The only moment that's guaranteed is the one you're in right now, this very second. Am I spending those moments like when my kids are around? Because I only have them every other week. So right off the bat, my influence is cut in half on the rearing of my children. Am I spending the moments I have with them helping ensure that they aren't stuck in those negative, those bad therapy or those negative loops and cycles that are going to prevent them from maximizing as adults? Or am I spending my time preparing them and helping them develop these skills early? Because one of the things that happens, I find this really interesting. I read another great book. It's not at all related to Stoicism, but it's called Positive Intelligence. And one of the metaphors he uses that I think is so brilliant is that, when we're babies, we grow a lot of things temporarily to get us through that phase of life. The most obvious one is teeth, right? Our mouths are too small for our permanent teeth, but we still need teeth for sustenance so that we can survive. So we grow baby teeth and then we lose them later and replace them as our mouths get bigger with our permanent teeth. One of the things that we also develop are the mental protections necessary to cope with the fact that we are insufficient at that age to deal with the challenges of life from a psychological perspective. We're completely dependent on other humans to survive, but we're not like other animals where we fall out and we're off and running. And so our brains develop all sorts of survival mechanisms. This is the survival brain, the fight or flight brain that literally keeps us alive, just like baby teeth. But then as we grow, we don't lose those. And we don't even necessarily know they're there anymore, but they're completely screwing with our ability to cope as adults because we don't actually need them anymore, or we need very little of them. We need them just enough to keep us from running into traffic and leaving a hot hand on a stove or whatever. But we don't need them to cope with life's challenges, but we rely on them like crutches and we don't even know we're doing it. So it's a really fascinating book. I highly recommend that one as well. But yeah, I think that there's this opportunity that we can all take to periodically check in with ourselves and ask, are we helping our kids or anybody, any kids, the next generation? Are we using our moments to ensure that our impact on the world is going to be positive, that we're finding joy and peace, and that we're maximizing the time that we have? I find it very inspiring and encouraging. And I try to implement it daily, and throughout my day. And nothing in this realm is easy or 100%. And that's great. That's why it's called practice. It's a practice like any other. You just continue to try to get better at it each day and reap the benefits of doing so. Yeah.
I got to show Allison's comment on screen because it's hilarious. She said, so Rafiki was a Stoic. From the Lion King, Rafiki. Yeah. Rafiki was absolutely a Stoic. 100%. Yeah. So he maybe didn't know it, but he was definitely a Stoic.
He was a poet and didn't know it. So this, as much as I love talking about this is a cigar show.
Wait, what? Why wasn't I?
And what brought me back is he just pulled his bands off. Let's talk about your website or your link that you have with cigars. And I think it's a freaking awesome idea. And I'm surprised that no one else has ever came up with this. It builds community. It builds your brand. It's just really damn cool.
Yeah, let me get
thank you. Yeah, I mean, having been doing it now for almost a year, I can say that one of the reasons people don't do this is a huge freaking pain in the ass. I've yet to solve the problem of printing the ID codes inside the main band, and that's why there's the secondary. I'm actually working on potentially fixing that here in the short term. But so what you'll find on all of my cigars is underneath, this primary band, when you pull it off, there will be a secondary band that looks like this. I'm going to hide the code so someone can't steal it because I might gift this to somebody. But it's a white linen band that has a unique ID code on it, an alphanumeric number. And so when you scan the QR code that takes you to our web app, or you can just go to app.stoiccigars.com to access it,
pulling it up
or
right
go to the main website and click on login. All of that redirects to a web app. And the reason we built it as a React app, which is a browser-based app, is that way we don't have to maintain an iOS and an Android instance. It's just, it'll run on whatever browser you're on your device. And so we're only updating, one code base. But it's a little web app that allows you to enter in that code. So you click on, log cigar, it's a little plus sign at the top right corner. And you can key that code in, and it knows exactly which cigar you smoked, so which blend and which size. So it'll log in your case, Raul, it would log Equanimity Justice. And it'll give you a journal entry. And there's a 5-star rating system for things like burn and draw and aroma and flavor and overall. And then there's a place for free notes where you can put whatever you want in there. You can attach a picture of it. And it creates a nice little journal entry. And it logs the location where you smoked it. And that way, all of the Stoic cigars that have ever been smoked show up on a heat map where you see all the little pins on the map for where all the Stoic cigars have been smoked around right now the U.S. and eventually, presumably, the world. And you also get reward points for that entry. And those start to accrue, and you can spend those on Stoic swag. And then the last thing is it puts you on a leaderboard where you can see how you're comparing to your fellow Stoic cigar smokers around the country and, try to climb. We have 2 leaderboards so that those that have been smoking it from day one that are on top of the overall leaderboard may be harder to catch. But there's also I think I changed it to 30 days, or it might still be 90 days, but there's a shorter leaderboard so that guys that are just getting into the brand have a chance to see their name climb as well. Actually, one last little thing. If it's not a Stoic cigar, you can go into that same add cigar window and click log a non-Stoic cigar. And you can use that cigar journal for any cigar that you're smoking. So it's just a free, cigar journal for guys that like to keep track and want a centralized place to do it. You can use my app for that too. So even if you're not smoking Stoic, you can do that.
That I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's cool for me too, because I get some other data about what other brands guys like that smoke a lot of, if this guy I smoked 100 Stoic Moderation, and I see he's smoking a lot of, I don't know, Stolen Thrones or some other brand. I get some insight into what else my guys like.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to know from you about, because I love learning this from everybody who starts a cigar brand, because there are so many options out there when it comes to factories. Who's going to make the cigars? Who do I want to, who do I want to make the cigars? Who's got, good tobacco? Who's got good people? So on and so forth. Once you got to a point where you landed on where, you wanted to have the cigars made, what were the key points that led to that decision of where you landed?
Yeah, the main thing for me after the obvious non-negotiables like consistent construction quality and good quality control was the ability for me to blend. And I don't mean like send some notes about what I want it to taste like and have someone blend it for me and ask me if this is close. Like I didn't want to do that, blend by mail model.
Yeah.
Here's 3 options, pick your favorite. I really wanted to go to the processors, to the brokers, taste the tobacco, that roll up the burritos on the site, be part of the buying process, choosing the tobacco. In fact, our signature note in both blends uses a tobacco that I had found before I selected my factory, just through the process of discovery and blending with a bunch of different people. That the factory that I settled on, Kellner, with Class, they wouldn't be using that tobacco if I hadn't found it elsewhere and said I'm using this tobacco, and then worked with Class to find and source the rest of the parts and pieces that brought the original blend to market. So that was the really different differentiation for me and the deciding factor. Class is awesome, and he's he knows tobacco. He has access to whatever really you need for the most part, because of his history in the Dominican Republic, his family, and his connections. And he, I think it's not always easy for him because I'm new and I'm learning, and he's got tobacco in his veins and has his whole life. He's born into it. But he lets me learn and grow and cook, and he taught me early some really important skills for identifying the impact beyond flavor, the actual impact on your palate as a sensory exercise to understand where the tobacco is going to activate your palate, so that when you're blending, you're not overexposing one zone or the other on your palate and giving it that sort of one note or that boring. Like none of my, I think, and I've confirmed this with just about anyone I've talked to who smoked it, whether you like it or not, my cigars don't get boring. You know, they're not one-dimensional, and that's because they have very good palate coverage. So he's been a good teacher, a great friend and partner, but he lets me make my blends, and I love that. I'm down in the DR once a quarter working on blends and doing the work out in the fields, out in the tobacco processors, opening bales, smoking tobacco, finding tobacco. So
Nice.
it's been really, really good.
And what was the name of the factory?
Kellner Cigars.
Kellner.
Yeah.
So Blas Kellner is is Henke's son from his second marriage. He's one of the younger sons, not the youngest. And he opened his factory. I think he's coming up on 3 years now. So we're one of his first commercial clients. He makes cigars for Stoic and then also Avowed. I think those are his two commercial lines that are in market today. And then he does a lot of cigars for like shop exclusives and retail cigars as well.
Yeah.
And the other thing I like about Class is he doesn't have he doesn't have a Kellner cigar on market, which wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker. But the thing that's nice for someone like me, and I'm sure for like a company like Avowed, is that it's always a little scary. There are like, tobacco shortage is a real thing. Production cycle shortage is a real thing. Like if you need 50,000 cigars rolled and there's a finite number of rollers available, or molds or tobacco or any of the resources necessary for creating a cigar, it would be a little nerve-wracking to know that you're in competition with the factory's own brand for those resources, right? Like it's just an added pressure on an already high pressure supply chain. So so it's been great. Like I said, I'm down there regularly. Nicole and I, my wife, we've spent a lot of time with the Kellner family. They're incredible people, and it's been really good.
Yeah. We had, ages ago. I mean, I've known Class for quite a while. I met him, 10 years ago. And he was on this show way back when he was still with Davidoff, and that kind of thing. And
that's cool.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
He's forgotten more about tobacco than I'll ever know. And the same with his father. And, but he's so humble about it. He just knows what he knows. He's not in your face. That's one of the things I love about him. He's not in your face about it, but he delivers the message with as much kindness as possible, basically saying, I know more about this than you do. And I want to take a few minutes to teach you what I've learned, growing up in the world of premium tobacco. Mm-hmm. And he's really great about it. The way he gets information across to, to blenders, to consumers, everybody.
100%. And he, to your point, he's just a natural educator. He spent that time, I think it was several years, as brand ambassador for Davidoff, and he went around the country teaching people this stuff. So it's cool to have that combination of expertise, and also, teaching is not like an innate skill necessarily. Like it's a learned skill, and to have both of those skills at a high level makes him really unique in the industry, I think.
Yeah.
Also, something else that's unique about your brand is your box. The way your box sets up.
I got one.
Yeah. I left mine at home.
Yeah, this is something that I came up with to make retailers' lives easier. So on the back of my box, I just have this little what I call a lid slip. And as you can see, it just creates a hollow slide slot for the lid, because in these cabinet style boxes, what happens often is they take the lid off and they toss it, or they try to stack it underneath and it's all kind of wobbly on the shelf. Or the other one you'll see is sometimes they'll put a notch back here, but then the lid stands up, really tall. And on a Churchill on my 7-inch box, it's it's very tall. It's 11 inches off the ground, and it's not going to fit on most shelves. So I created the lid slip. It allows for the lid to slide all the way down, and then I put this little vista on the inside, so there's extra branding real estate on the shelf.
Nice.
And then it looks like that on the shelf. So retailers love it. I've had a million people say, "I can't believe no one's ever done that before. You should patent that." And my thought on that is, I don't need to patent it. I would love if everybody did it. I think it's good for retail. I think it's good for it's an easy convenience. Makes life easier for people. So do it. I don't
Yeah.
Happy to see everybody level up if it's beneficial.
And how'd you pick your Vitolas?
Yeah, I like the classic sizes. I'm old school in that way. I definitely wanted a Churchill that was like a legitimate 48 gauge, 7x48, old school Churchill. I think for me, once I zeroed in on the 4 virtues, it was another moment, sort of like when I selected the brand, where I was like, these are going to be my Vitolas. There's 4 classic Vitola. There's really 3 that I feel like you got to have: the Churchill, Toro, and Robusto. And then I love Corona Gorda. I love a smaller ring gauge for what it does to the blend profile. And so for me, it was perfect. And then, associating the virtue, it wasn't a dart throw. I was very thoughtful about, like, the Churchill is the wisdom because it's the longest cigar. And I feel like, it gives you the most time to really access your sage, that part of your brain that's wise and can process the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I went through and picked the names, and, I thought Robusto, robust, courageous, moderation in the Corona was an obvious one. So, yeah.
And one of the things that I love is, and I'm sure you've noticed this, you make a blend and you've got different Vitolas, different sizes, but they do, even though it's the same cigar, there's nuances that just make it, those little differences that, from one Vitola to the next. And what is your favorite part about blending for those specific Vitolas when it comes to, I know that I don't know, it could be, I know that the Toro is going to be, have more strength in that final third, or whatever it may be, because there's so much nuance that you can get depending on the direction they turn the leaves and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So there's a couple approaches you can take when you're using a single blend and multi. You can attempt to rebalance the blend. Did I freeze or did you freeze?
No, we're good. You're back. And a little glitchy, but it's good.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying there's a couple paths you can take when you're using the same blend in multiple sizes, because one approach is you rebalance the blend for each size so that it really does taste the same, and you're only choosing between your preferred size, length of smoke, the feel in your mouth, whatever, your favorite size. In my case, in these blends, in both blends, I wanted to take the other approach, which is you don't adjust the blend so that each size smokes differently, both in smoking time and some of those other performance metrics, but as well as flavor impact. And so for me, I have two of the 5 filler leaves are Ligero, but they're both strips. And so what we did is, in every size, it's those same 2 strips. And so what fills in the filler on the thicker ring gauges is more of the backfill tobacco, which in the first blend is San Vicente and in the second blend is Habano. And so you get more of that, and Ligero tobaccos are softened, the impact of those, in the flavor profile. So actually, Matt, to your point, in our Toro, those are both the, what I would call the softest expressions of the blend, because some of those really punchy flavors from those 2 Ligero leaves get a little more subdued, a little more muted in the larger ring gauge. Whereas in the Corona Gorda and the moderation, those are the most punchy of the blend. Like, you really get the in your face blast of the citrus and the sweetness and some of the spice from the Pennsylvania Ligero, for example. A lot of people like that Corona size in our blends. Yeah, that to your point, like it's very different. You can like people do both. Like some people will do their best to make every size taste exactly the same in a common blend, and then other people do like I've done, which is so that people based on flavor and palate impact as well as size and length.
Yeah, and I do like the complexity, you know, because I'm smoking the Corona Gorda right now, and I do like the complexity because the rye that I'm drinking, what we'll find out in a little while what it is, but the rye that I'm drinking is, you know, there's a lot going on. There's spice, there's a little bit of funkiness, there's some sweetness, and the cigar has some of those same characteristics where it's complex, but it's really complementary with this rye, where it's you know, the spice hits the same spice kind of notes that the rye does. The sweetness hits the same spots on the palate that the sweetness from the rye does. So on and it's a good one of those good complementary pairings where they you know, there's similar characteristics going on, but also, you know, this equanimity, which from and I apologize for, you know, being a novice on your brand, but from a blend perspective, is this a totally new animal, or is it just a different size of, you know, the an existing blend?
New blend that comes in the same 4 sizes as the original blend. So eight total SKUs. And the difference in the blend, the wrapper and the binder are completely different. It's a Ecuadorian Corojo wrapper over a Dominican Criollo 98 binder, and then the filler has new tobacco in it and some of the original tobacco in different ratios and quantities for both flavor, balance, and combustibility. And it's a fuller, richer cigar, so it's heavier on the palate. It's slightly stronger. You know, it's not a ton stronger, but it's for those guys that want something fuller, richer. You know, the Corojo wrapper is naturally going to be richer. It gives you some of that nice bitter dark chocolate on the palate at the finish, and then there's a lot of sweetness in this blend as well, which I like. And then one of the things to your point on the sizes, Matt, if you look, and I'll show you on mine, I already pulled off the secondary band. On the equanimity, there is that secondary equanimity band. It's just small. It sits underneath the main band. And then on the main band, and this is on all of my cigars, you can see that I have if I can get this to focus here.
Oh yeah, the medallion is filled in with gold.
Yeah, so whatever size you're smoking, so the Courage, I'm smoking the Robusto of the equanimity. The Lion has the gold foil. On your moderation, it'll be that wheel. And on Raul's Justice, it'll be that the Scales of Justice at the top. So you always know what size you're smoking, right there on the band. Yeah, there you go. Nice. So I think that's another thing that's unique to our brand. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do something like that before. So we're trying to innovate, you know, where you can in an old world industry and try to add unique and interesting value for our customers.
I love it.
So I got another question, because that's what I do here, right?
What?
How has your 20 so years of smoking and just being on the page and just being in groups helped you become such a detailed and mindful blender?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, everybody's palate's different. I think tasting notes are the most unique and apparent realization of that truth, because we associate what we taste, we associate with our past and our experiences. What have we tasted before? What have we smelled before is a big part of it. So everyone's going to taste different things. I'll read some reviews and I'm like, you tasted what? Never have I ever in any of the tobacco that I use.
From the north side of the barn.
Yeah.
But you know, for me personally, you know, I'm just a curious guy. Like, I don't do anything mindlessly. It's just not in my nature. And so from the beginning as a smoker, you know, I've been very, very aware of and analytical about the things that I'm smoking. I've never smoked a cigar that I didn't go find as much information about it as I could, whether I liked it or not, to understand the tobaccos that they were using and the history of the brand and the people that made it. So I think that prepared me in a lot of ways to have an idea of what tobaccos originally that I was going to look for, and then what I was going for in terms of flavor. And then just from a, blending for balance perspective, I cook a lot. I can't boast about my palate because I don't really know enough about the science of it. But for me, I've always felt like I have a developed palate, like when it comes to coffee and whiskey and wine and chocolate and cigars and all those things where you can pull out and recognize distinct materials in the raw materials in the product that are providing certain impact on your palate, both in flavor and coverage. And so, it's helped me in this process to not just be throwing up darts and trying to blend something that only tastes good to me, but maybe omits or misses critical aspects of what an objectively good cigar would be in terms of balance and palate coverage. So,
yeah. Well, I got a question for Raul. Do you think it's time?
I think it's time.
All right, guys, it is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. Nailed it. All right. So, Vance, this is the weirdest segment in cigar podcast.
I was like, what's happening?
It's strange. So it's a really weird segment, but it's actually our fans' favorite segment of all. Basically, I'm going to give a number, and you, along with Raul and our fantastic viewers in the comments, are going to try to play 20 questions to figure out how these people died.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's like I said,
fun.
People absolutely love it. So the number this week is 1,700.
So Vance, just to be transparent, lately it's hard to come up with these for 302 episodes.
You don't know what this is about?
Let me finish. Right. So lately we've been hitting like natural disasters or events that took a big body toll. So
Okay.
that's why we have this right now.
And it's 1,700 a year?
No,
we
that's
don't know.
the number of people who died from this.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And is it one event?
This is one particular event in history, yes.
Death by Roman lions?
Oh, Allison says death by lions in Roman times. No, I gotta guess they don't have a number for that.
Is this so the 20 questions, are they yes, no, or
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. And David Floyd, this is nonfiction. So this actually happened. This was a historic event.
did this event happen at land or sea?
Water, yes, but
Was it a flood?
not a flood.
Was it a hurricane?
Not a hurricane. Okay, it's tricky because water, yes, but it's more of a land event.
Was it a mudslide?
It's hard to not a mudslide.
Okay.
Anything to do with the thank you, Tom. Oh, and Tom, real quick, Tom, we forgot to mention this last week, but we did the drawing for our remote viewer for episode 300 for the episode 300 prize package. And Tom Darling is
The winner.
actually the winner. So Tom, I don't think I have it, but send an email to matt@howaboutthatcigar.com. And Tom, you have a prize package with some lovely cigars and a How About That Cigar hat and a How About That Cigar lighter and a Corona Cigar Company nice warm beanie. And
Oh, nice.
yes, so Tom,
Awesome.
send me your email to matt@howaboutthatcigar.com.
Tom, are you a Red Sox fan?
Leave him alone, even if he is a Red Sox fan. So, all right, let's get back. So,
Well-
1,700 people died from this. It was a single event. It
Had to do with water.
Had to do
somehow.
with water, but it also was a land event.
What
Okay, somebody was all right, Allison, I love you, but this screams Google search, and it's okay, but this is the correct. It was the lake. I don't know how if you say it Neos or Nios.
Disaster.
This was in the country of Cameroon, and 1,746 people, to be exact, died from this event. It was actually, so it's an eruption, but it's not like what we typically think of as a volcanic eruption, where it's either ash or lava goes spewing into the air. What ended up happening was the eruption triggered the sudden release of about between 100,000 and 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide. And that gas cloud killed over 1,700 people and over 3,500 head of livestock in Cameroon. And it actually it bubbled up from underneath that lake. So that's why, it's water, but it's, it's not like a hurricane that's on the ocean. It was actually the land underneath the lake that split. And who was
It's not Allison.
Oh, Andrew. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry, Andrew.
Same.
But yeah, the land underneath the water on that lake split and spewed forth 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide gas.
Yeah.
And that gas cloud initially rose at nearly 100 kilometers per hour, and then, being heavier than air, descended onto nearby villages, suffocating people and livestock within a 25-kilometer radius of the lake.
Wow.
Unreal. That I just found that one really interesting, because it's very, it's like, is it an earthquake? Sort of. Is it a volcano? Sort of. Is it a water event? Sort. It's kind of had a lot of different elements to it. And that happened in August 21st, 1986.
Wow. He didn't deny that he looked it up in Google.
Well,
So that was.
No, I want to give some more details about this one. And I also, no, the only other detail is just I've been trying to find ones that are specific to tobacco countries. Dominican. We did the one. There was the hurricane that hit Cuba, and then there was a hurricane that hit Dominican Republic, and then we did something I don't remember exactly what about Costa Rica, and one about Nicaragua, and Cameroon. Obviously, they grow a lot of tobacco in Cameroon, so I thought, hey, it's another tobacco producing country.
I like it. Mike made a hell of a point right there.
What do we got there? Well, one great firefighter would have prevented that.
Yeah.
You think he's right? You think you could have prevented that?
Oh yeah.
300,000 tons of CO2 gas
with all this hot air.
Just do the Superman thing and just blow it. There you go. Hey, I would love to see that. So that was this week's
Numero de los Muertos. Don't change that for a second. I want to bring another thing up.
Okay.
Vance, tell me you're going to start doing displays for other companies. I found you another niche to make some more extra dough. Because you talked about how you made your own display.
The PCA trade show. We weren't
at the booth. Yeah,
we weren't at the PCA trade show, but looking at pictures of it online, your booth and displays just super, super cool.
And explain to everybody your process of going through it and how you can move them around so they can be L-shaped, straight shape, blah blah blah.
Yeah, so I had a vision in my head, and I sketched it out like I did with all our branding, and I found it's called the Trade Group in Dallas. They make custom event, trade show booths and whatnot. And I spent a lot of time with their designer, and I wasn't sure anything was going to happen with them. And then I got assigned a new account manager he was this cool guy, and he really understood what I was trying to do. And the big challenge was the pillars. So I have these 8-foot pillars. I've got 6 of them that have wood block runners on the bottom that they mount to, and then wood block headers on top that have a laminate sort of fake marble application. And those are it's pretty easy to assemble, but they can be locked together, the runners on the base in an L shape. So you have pillar on either end and in the corner, or they can run lengthwise and you could just make a wall of them. So you could sort of create that painted porch style. But what the challenge was the pillars, because they were having a hard time determining how they would craft something like that. And we ended up finding some construction grade pillars. So these would be, in fact, you can buy these whole or cut in half down the middle, top to bottom. So if you think about like homes that have a faux pillar out front of the doors or wherever, and they're just a half a pillar that's mounted to the frame and then painted to look as if they're load bearing. They're like those. So they're hollow in the middle, but they still weigh a shit ton, and they're a pain to get out. The whole thing breaks down. It fits in one large crate. And then we just designed the banners to hang down in between the pillars and the headers for the top. So we're really happy with it. The furniture. It was so expensive to rent furniture there. I bought both sets. So there's identical lounge sets on either side of the 10x20 booth, and bought them on Amazon, put them together in the booth, and then donated them to one of the laborers there at the convention center. When we left, he was super stoked to get some free furniture. So
nice.
Way cheaper than renting them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And how did your PCA go this year?
Yeah, I mean, for a brand new brand that nobody had heard of, we had done a soft launch, but we weren't really to market full scale yet. So, considering nobody had heard of us, I think we did really well. The first day, like the first hour, somebody walked in, a woman from Memphis who's got 4 Tinderbox locations there in Memphis. She loved the lid slit. She said, I've been taping the lids on the back of my boxes for 20 years. This is great. They love the cigar. They got a bunch of boxes for all 4 shops. And we thought, man, we're going to kill it at this show. Not every interaction was like that. But what was, I think, most affirming for us, I think we hit our goal in terms of accounts opened, but we were a little short on volume. So we didn't have a real idea of how many boxes shops were going to open. And, most of these guys are taking a flyer on a new brand that they're going to have to help get off the ground. So totally understandable on volume of boxes. But the big winner for us was the response. I think everybody that smoked this cigar really, really was impressed and liked it. So yeah, show was great. I think this next year is going to be huge for us with all of the, progress and press and exposure we've had this year. So
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's jump into, sorry, I got to pull up my list here. Let's jump into revealing what this week's Spirit of Mystery is, brought to us by Post-Diner Cigars. This was a really nice rye. I got to say, this is a very nice rye. You said I've had it before.
Yes.
Oh, narrowing it down is so tough. Is this one readily available?
Yes.
Readily available. I don't think it's Whistle Pig.
No.
I don't think it's this I don't think it's Old Elk.
Nope.
Let me get,
I like that you're comparing it with those guys. Rye.
I don't.
It's not Knob Creek.
Andrew, I don't think it's Knob Creek Rye. Although I've only tried Knob Creek Rye once. I don't think it's
It's Rocknar. I was just looking up Minnesota rye.
I don't think this is a Minnesota rye. Is this Tattersall?
No, it's not a Minnesota rye.
No, it's not. Yeah. Tattersall is a lot sweeter than this.
You want a hint?
They're bigger in the bourbon name than they are in the rye name. Yes.
That I couldn't tell you. I don't think so. I think it's 50-50. And they probably just came to Minnesota in the last 6 to 8 months.
Oh,
Just come to Minnesota in the last 6 to 8 months.
that's a clue.
Yeah.
How many tries does Luciano says? How many tries do I get? It depends. I'm probably gonna have to give up soon here.
Come on, you can get this one.
Just came to Minnesota in the last 6 to 8 months. All right. This isn't cheating because I'm looking at my collection. I know I've got some.
It's not in your collection.
No, I know it's just trying to shake something loose in my brain.
All right, I'll give you another clue.
Okay.
I'm going there on Friday. To the state of its origin.
Okay, that actually
Makes it worse?
makes it worse. All right, let's just reveal what it is because I just got nothing. What is? Oh, let me zoom in here.
Oh, it's Texas.
This is another one of those Austin.
Yeah. Still Austin.
All right, so I remember because
You've had it at my house. You've had the regular and you've had the store exclusive ones
yeah,
from Specs.
this one is nice. There have been a couple misses from them.
Really?
But this one is really not all of them. I mean, there have been a couple hits and a couple misses, but this one is definitely one of the hits. Because there's really good flavor and aroma on this one. And I would imagine it's not going to break the bank
No.
either. So yeah, that's a very good pour. I appreciate that. So that is this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by Postania. All right, let's jump into the lightning round, brought to us by J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 114-year-old El Reloj Cigar Factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. All right. Lightning round time. Okay, Vance. If you were about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack music be?
Thunderstruck.
Very, very good answer. I think we've had that answer a couple times, but it's been a while. And I like that. That is
My wife and I
classic.
played Thunderstruck for our walk-off music after we got married.
Oh, see, that's legit. I love that. I love that.
So, Vance, what is the most overrated and underrated fast food franchise out there?
I'm going to start with overrated. Let me think. I mean, overrated is McDonald's.
We get that one a lot. Yep.
Yeah,
That's common.
It's got to be. Underrated, that's a tough one. Because all the good ones, I think, are popular. Let me maybe I'll just divulge one of my vices. One of the things that's hard for me to resist when I'm on these long road trips is especially if I just smoked a cigar and I want to like kind of cool my palate and refresh. I stop at Dairy Queens because they're always on the side of the road.
Oh yeah,
in the middle of nowhere. They're never in towns, it seems like. And I get a dip cone. So their food is notoriously garbage, but their ice cream's good. So I think Dairy Queen needs some more love.
Absolutely. I love that answer. That's a first time answer. I'm here for it. All right. So Vance, the zombie apocalypse is coming. So you get to choose 3 people from the cigar industry to be on your zombie apocalypse survival squad. Who do you choose and why? I love the deep thought. I love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys. What's the name of the guy that does the cigars in the ammo cans? He's got to have a lot of guns.
Cigars in the ammo
50
cans.
caliber.
Hooten Young? Or Warfighters?
No, not Warfighter. Yeah, I think they're called 50 cal. I'm gonna look it up right now.
That might be Hooten Young.
Which will be on the show.
Or yeah, who does that?
Oh, it is Warfighter Tobacco that does
Warfighter. There
okay,
we go.
Yeah. Handled it since, yeah. All right.
Yeah, they got a lot of guns. Excellent choice.
Yeah. Should we take him for the wall? I don't know him, so hopefully he's cool. And then I think I'd take Matt Booth along just because I think he's just crazy enough to
Yeah.
I just think he'd go Full Metal Jacket and
He would.
I think he'd have your back. Plus, worst case scenario would be a hell of a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's see, last one. I like the guy. I just like him. I've never met him, but I like the guy from Robert Holt from Southern Draw.
Yeah.
And I think he's a religious guy, so I think you need your healer and your spiritual leader in the group. So yeah, I think that'd be a good combo, the 3 of us.
That's a good team right there. I like that. I have no issues with that team right there. That team's going to get it done.
Yeah,
most definitely. All right, let's jump into notable smokables. So Vance, each week we all name a cigar that we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now, this could be a cigar that is brand new to the market that you smoked for the first time ever, or it could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that you just revisited for the first time in a long time. Obviously, you're smoking a lot of your own stuff, but if you get a chance to jump outside of your own portfolio, what's something you smoked recently that really stood out to you?
Man, I just smoked one of the best cigars I've smoked in a long, long time. Does it count if it's really old?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I was very fortunate at the event. One of a friend of mine from Cigar Syndicate, who I've known for years, he not only sent me home with some great homemade salsa and pickled green beans, but
John Basil.
You got it.
Oh,
but he also gave me a 2008 old school Camacho, and my God! And then I smoked it at Mike's house, who was gracious enough to host me while I was in town that night after the event. Oh my God! Like old Camacho, man. It's one of those brands I think we all dream about from the glory days. But it was good. It was really, really good. It hadn't lost a bit of kick either. I mean, it was
nice,
spicy and sweet and complex and everything you want in a cigar. So
I love it. I love it. Raleigh, what's your notable this week?
Probably the one I'm smoking right now.
Yeah,
in a Corona size.
It's pretty notable, definitely.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your cigars.
Thank you.
And I usually don't smoke Churchills, but I smoked one on Friday night, and that was solid too. I'm definitely a Corona guy, or double Corona, but yeah.
So here's a great thing about that Churchill if you have the time, because it's a 48 gauge, so it's also a little bit smaller, so it's very, very flavorful. But you add to that, the 7-inch cigar. So if you think about, the first 3 inches of that cigar, the smoke is passing through so much of that rich, complex tobacco by the time it hits your palate, it's just so like rich and flavorful. So that to me is the draw of the Churchill. I actually think the Churchill is the best expression of the blend in both sizes if you have the time to smoke it. So I don't smoke that Vitola the most. I smoke the Robusto the most because I do a lot of like 1 hour blocks of smoking and whatever else. And so it's not the one that I smoke the most of just due to time, but man, it's money. So I'm glad you got to experience it.
Yeah. So last Thursday, I think it was. Yeah, last Thursday night, I was on one of Cigar Coop's shows. And one of the cigars I smoked while I was on that broadcast was the Postania San Andreas. And yeah, it's just a nice expression of the San Andreas wrapper in that cigar.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that. I haven't tried it.
Yeah.
I like those guys a lot and what they're doing, so that's good.
Yeah, spicy, earthy, chocolatey, got a little bit of everything going. And
he'd be another good one probably for the zombie apocalypse. Mike whatever the fuck. That's what I call him.
Yeah, Stephen Cabbage.
He would definitely be a good choice. He'd probably just flex and the zombies would run scared.
Well, because he
I did learn how to say his name, and I said it right when I called him, because I called him early on when I was starting. I'm going to look it up so I can see if I can
it's Stephen Cabbage.
I've said it about 1,000 times, and he says every time I'm like 98% right.
Shapankowitz.
No, it's not.
No?
It's definitely not Shapankowitz.
No,
I wish it was, because that'd be a lot easier. But it's
Shapankowitz.
No, it's like Stepan Cabbage.
I just said that.
Shapankowitz.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, he's back to Mike. Whatever the fuck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, let's give our viewers and listeners an idea of some stuff coming up soon. October 6th, next Monday night, we have John Carney and a little bit of a Hoot and Young whiskey and cigar tasting here on How About That Cigar Live. So going to feature not only the cigars, but the whiskeys of Hoot and Young on How About That Cigar next week. And then October 13th, the month of monsters. Pete Johnson from Tatuaje coming back on the show.
Never heard of him.
To feature the this year's Redux, which Wolfman, I believe. Mummy is this year's Redux. So
whoever that guy is,
gonna Mike Skanky Pants. Andrew says Mike Skanky Pants. I like that one. So that's what's coming up, and we have more stuff in the next couple months scheduled as well. So
unfortunately, you'll be solo next Monday.
I will be solo next Monday, but that's cool because I'm the only motherfucker around this place that drinks booze. So that's cool.
True.
I'll drink some booze with John, and we'll smoke some cigars and drink a little whiskey and maybe get a little crazy. I'll try to keep things under control. I promise. I'll keep it even keel.
Good idea.
I promise. All right, Vance, if you would please give our viewers and listeners an idea, where is the best place for them to keep up with everything going on with Stoic Cigars?
Yeah, I would appreciate the follows. I do have a goal to get our online follower count to a certain level by the end of the year. So on Instagram, we are Stoic Cigars _official. And on Facebook, we're Stoic Cigars. Someone on Instagram is squatting on the name. I'm still trying to get it. And then online at www.stoiccigars.com. There's a contact us thing at the bottom there. So feel free to send me a note. It comes right to my inbox. I'm very responsive there. So if you have questions, thoughts, feedback, I get all sorts of ideas for names, people that are into Stoicism. You should name a cigar this. So yeah, we love to stay in contact while we're small enough now to do so, especially with all of our customers and retailers. So definitely check us out. Appreciate that.
Nice. Well, Vance, we cannot thank you enough for being on our show this evening, giving us your Monday night. So thanks so much. We wish you the absolute best with Stoic Cigars and look forward to everything you guys have coming along. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live. So grateful for you guys watching live on Facebook, YouTube, and
Rumble.
And of course, if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, whether you're driving down the road, working out, whatever it is you do when you listen to your favorite audio podcast, thanks so much for making How About That Cigar a part of it. If you have questions for any of us, you can find us and email us on our website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. You will find us at HBT Cigar. And of course, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.